Welcome to Nightmare County. I'm your host, Rando M. Ghoul. Tonight, we're going to talk about the 10 best Bigfoot films that I believe to be the most notable ones that you need to watch. Now, there are a ton of Bigfoot films out there, and I do believe they're all entertaining in their own way. I do not believe they are the best Bigfoot films because there's a lot of bad ones out there. These are the ones that the list I put together are probably 10 of the most watchable, most entertaining ones you can find. Most of them can either be found on you won't find them on Netflix. That's sorry to say, but that's just a fact. Tubi TV, YouTube, Amazon are just few of the places that do have some of these films. Most of these can be found on Tubi TV, by the way, or even some other sites and everything. But those are the main ones that you can free streaming services. You can find most of these. I'll just say that. Starting off with this list, I'm going to have to go with The Legend of Boggy Creek. To me, it is the most important of all Bigfoot films because it's incredibly influential. The way it sets up the tone of the film, the payoff, the documentary type style. It literally is one of the best Bigfoot films, and the one that making Bigfoot seem the most realistic in terms of everything that it does. Everything in this film was done right. Charles B. Pierce knew exactly what he was doing. With that being said, if there's one Bigfoot film that you do need to see, it is The Legend of Boggy Creek. Number 2 is an easy one, Harry and the Hendersons. It is accessible for children and adults alike, especially adults who still want to believe that there could be a Bigfoot. If you don't believe there is one, it still has that sense of adventure and that Spielberg-esque feeling that Steven Spielberg put into any of the films he produced. And if you like that, if you like Steven Spielberg films, you're going to love Harry and Henderson's. I would throw it in there with films like The Monster Squad and Explorers. If you want a good set of films to put together for kids to watch, and I'm talking about kids, I would put The Explorers, The Monster Squad, and Explorers for the sci-fi element, The Monster Squad for the Universal Classic Monster movie element, and Harry and the Hendersons for the cryptid element. Those 3 films I think are perfect for kids and adults alike. And if you want to have a good family night or set something up for Halloween, Harry and the Hendersons should be added to that list. Number 3 is going to be Exist from 2014. I talked about this movie in my last video, and it is probably one of the Bigfoot films I watched the most, especially for entertainment value. And plus I like films that take place in Texas, and this film takes place in Texas. But that being said, Exist has probably one of the most terrifying Bigfoots, Sasquatch in any film, because he's just freaking relentless in this movie, and that's what made it awesome. And with the found footage element and everything, it was well done, and it's fun, and it's a great popcorn movie. Following up that film with number 4 would be Willow Creek. Willow Creek is another found footage film, whereas it has probably the most Blair Witch type atmosphere of any of the films on this list. Even though Exist was directed by the guy who directed Blair Witch Project, Willow Creek is just it starts off kind of fun and everything, and it just gets more dreadful and terrifying and suffocating as the film goes. And that's one of the best things about it. It's like I said, it is basically Blair Witch with a Bigfoot. Number 5 on this list is a film that, in my opinion, falls very closely to The Legend of Boggy Creek, and that is The Creature of Black Lake from '76. It follows The Legend of Boggy Creek with probably a better budget. It's got really good actors in it, and it's just a fun movie. You can find this one on YouTube, by the way. It is simply a fun movie to watch. if you like movies from the 70s and everything, like I said, if you like movies from the 70s, this is definitely a film you should check out. And I would say it's right there behind Legend of Boggy Creek in terms of entertainment value. Number 6 on this list, well, I battled with this one because I didn't know if it really, but I would have to throw 1980's Night of the Demon into the number 6 bracket. Night of the Demon is Bigfoot as a slasher movie. That's all you need to know. It's gory, which, if you're a gore fan, you're going to love that. So I would definitely check out Night of the Demon, especially if you're into slasher flicks and you wanted the Bigfoot as the killer. Number 7 would be Abominable from 2006. It is Rear Window meets a slasher movie with a Bigfoot, which, Night of the Demon is Bigfoot in a slasher movie. This movie is it throws in the Rear Window aspect, but with a giant Sasquatch with incredible special. The special effects were really good on the Sasquatch. I enjoyed it. It's a fun film. It's not. I wouldn't say as good as any of the films I've listed before, but it is a fun film and a good time waster. Number eight, I would have to say might be Sasquatch, the Legend of Bigfoot from 1977. It's a really there are scenes in it that are really good and really well filmed, intense, but it is hampered by a lot of footage that makes it seem like a Disney nature documentary, and that really throws off the whole vibe of the movie. I've talked about this movie with friends. We've all come up to the same thing, that it just really has a very whimsical documentary feel to certain scenes that takes away from the terror-filled scenes with Bigfoot. So that being said, I had to place that one further down the list, but it is a good film. Other than that, next I would throw in the Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas from 1957 with Peter Cushing, because that when I go back to the earlier films, especially the ones from the 50s that featured a Yeti, the closest thing to we had a Bigfoot at the moment. That's the one film to me that seems more important than all the others. It's just, it's a Hammer horror film. Which you can never go wrong with, especially during that time period, 50s and 60s. But it's a great movie, and it has a very King Kong-esque to it in terms of the adventure aspect of them trying to go to a place where there is a creature, like they're going somewhere to find King Kong, like Skull Island and everything. So if you like King Kong from the 30s, you're going to definitely, or any of its variations or versions, you'll definitely like the Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas from 1957. Rounding out, I'd probably the list gets harder for me to do around 10, because I think I did 10. I did Legend, Harry, Exist, Willow Creek. Okay, yeah, more than 10. Gosh. Forgive me for this. But number 10, I would have to say, would be a toss-up between Big Legend and Primal Rage. These are probably the two most recent Bigfoot films, and they're Big Legend, with such a low budget, with shoestring budget that it had, it looks very good. It has an awesome poster, by the way, which I'll post. But I would have to say that Big Legend edges out Primal Rage. Primal Rage was is another good. It's a decent Bigfoot film. There's a lot of scenes in it that are they'll make your eyes roll. But if you're in for like a cheesy, in Primal Rage, I'll just say Bigfoot uses a crossbow. Not a crossbow. He uses a bow and arrow. He's that intelligent. So it's a different kind of Bigfoot movie, but it still has some. It's worth watching it. It's still waste some time. But like I said, Big Legend edges out at number 10 because to me it's just a with such a low budget and the way it's filmed, and when you go into the backstory of the movie, it kind of makes the movie better, I guess. But I would say Big Legend edges out Primal Rage. Primal Rage gets the honorable mention award because I do believe it's worth checking out, and I believe you can find that on Tubi TV as well. Primal Rage is pretty good. It's Bigfoot. Special effects in Primal Rage are better than in Big Legend, but the story in Big Legend, I think, grabs you more, and I think it's better acted. Whereas Primal Rage is it focuses more on the special effects and not so much the story, and that's what it's got some real implausible things going on in it, even for a Bigfoot movie. Now, there are a lot of bad Bigfoot movies, but I have to say that for the worst Bigfoot movies, some of the worst Bigfoot movies made are the ones where they aim at bringing in children. And one of the worst ones you will ever find is Cry Wilderness. That movie is such a waste of time that I do not even wish that on anyone that I hate to watch, because it is just a horrible movie. I mean, it might have had good intentions, but everything in that movie is annoying, and I hated it so much. And hate's a strong word, but I hated Cry Wilderness. So yeah, that's my top 10 list with my one worst Bigfoot film that I've ever seen. And there's a lot out there. There's plenty more bad ones out there, but that one, it tops my list. That being said, here's my top 10 all over again. Number 1, The Legend of Boggy Creek. Number 2, Harry and the Hendersons. Number 3, Exist. Number 4, Willow Creek. Number 5, Creature of Black Lake. Number 6, Night of the Demon. Number 7, Abominable. Number 8, Sasquatch, The Legend of Bigfoot. Number 9, The Abominable Snowman from 1957. And number 10, Big Legend. Honorable mention goes to Primal Rage and worst Bigfoot movie ever made, in my opinion, Cry Wilderness. I hope you enjoyed this video tonight. I'm going to probably talk about cryptids in my next video, I wanted to kind of go off in a little bit different direction, actually stay on the same direction but go off in a different way and talk about more than just Bigfoot, because there's a lot of cryptids out there with movies and video games and books and all kinds of stuff. So that being said, I'm going to talk about cryptids in my next video, and probably like Chupacabra, Flatwoods Monster, Mothman, and a few more that even you haven't heard of. Well, the main general audience hasn't heard of. There's people in the cryptid community, of course, they follow everything that's out there. So I'm going to talk about a few that you probably haven't heard of, or try to find some you haven't heard of, and even talk about some of my past experiences and things that I experienced, because there was some weird shit in my early years. So yeah, I'm going to talk about that as well. Some strange stuff, like seeing bright lights, shadow people, that kind of thing. But that being said, I do want to thank you for watching my video tonight, and if you can, hit that like button and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Nightmare County and on Facebook at Nightmare County as well. Leave a comment if you want to talk about anything, any Bigfoot films that I just mentioned, or want to talk about cryptids. And if you want to mention anything weird that you've seen in your life and you want to post it in the comments, then please do so. If you don't want to put it in the comments, just send me a message and I will gladly answer back. That being said, I want to thank you, and don't be a stranger, and tune in.